without further ado, the team that I will be picking to support in the LCK forever is going to be... Yes, ladies and gentlemen, it is time to pick my LCK team to support. This is probably one of my longest requested videos since I started covering more international League of Legends and committed to the fact that yes, I am going to watch the LCK this year. Not live, obviously. I have a life in North America, but at least by watching some of the highlights, and then if games last till earlier in the morning here in the East Coast time, then I'll be able to catch them when I'm waking up and going to work. But one area where I feel like I am unique compared to most is that I am a team guy through and through. I pick a fandom and I stick with it. The reason why I might pick that fandom might be weird. It might be contradictory to other different areas. So just be warned. There are going to be reasons why I eliminate teams in this video that will contradict itself in other regions and other areas. I get that it doesn't make sense at the end of the day, but ultimately it's my fandom and my choice. So that's it. Now to give you some background is like, who is this guy? Again, hi, David, covered LoL esports for North America mostly. I'm 100 Thieves diehard. This is my team. It doesn't matter what team I pick today, whether K Corp is playing them or not. I support 100 Thieves over everybody, then NA afterwards, and then my teams from there. I do have a lot of domestic pride. I have an American flag that you might see me wearing around at Worlds and other different times. It is our region over everything, but that doesn't stop me from following other teams. For example, in the pros, I'm a Minnesota Vikings fan. Am I from Minnesota? No. What was my logic behind picking them? Well, this might be embarrassing to admit. I loved Barney as a kid. I did. Don't ask me why. Couldn't tell you, but the big purple dinosaur had something for it. My family is entirely from Pittsburgh, so they're Pittsburgh Steelers fans, but I wanted a purple jersey, and Pittsburgh didn't have a purple alternate. So my parents were like, you will not be wearing a Ravens jersey in this household, so we'll buy you a Randy Moss one as a kid. And I stuck with it. Still a Vikings fan to this day. Florida Gators in college. My mom bought me a Florida Gator plushie once, and that was it. That was enough for me to do it. As you can see, it doesn't take much. And my other big one, probably my biggest fandom in esports, is Optic Gaming. They are the reason why I got into esports in the first place, and the reason why I picked them was because Scump grew up 5 minutes away from where I did. It helped that Optic had the best content in the game, and there were a lot of other things with it, but the connection to Scump and having the local fandom there was really important for me. I still am Greenwall to this day. I'll tell you right now, if Optic were to ever come back into League of Legends, they would be my team over 100 Thieves. I've ditched this like a bat out of hell because I picked up 100 Thieves after Optic left the LCS back in 2019. But if there's one thing I'm tired of doing, it is moving teams, moving around, swapping things. Like, it's happened so much over the last few years. I want a forever home, which with the LCK, that seems more likely than not. But we have to eliminate 10 teams down to just one. So let's kick it off. Let's throw up the teams. Now, I'm not a stranger to many of these. Obviously, I've been following LoL esports since 2018. Most of these brands and names look somewhat familiar, but there's a few that we can eliminate off the rip, and I'll eliminate probably the biggest one for a reason that Korean fans might not understand, but American fans, you'll get right away. I will not be supporting Hamo Life Esports. I'm not a big fan of having sponsors in your name. I can make exceptions at various different times, but the one that I can't make an exception for is a life insurance company. If you're in Korea and you don't know what's happened in America recently with Luigi, it's just exposing a lot of issues with health insurance that we have here in the United States, and it feels way too weird to support an esports team that is financially backed by a life insurance company that's just dishing out money left and right because they have unlimited money. I know it's different in Korea, but look, this is my American brain speaking. I can't do Hamo Life. I'm sorry. Much like King Ka, I'm shutting down this roller coaster as well. KT Rollster ain't gonna be it. I've known them in the LoL esports scene for quite a while now. It's not like I'm unfamiliar with the brand. I know the tides and turbulations that come with them, and it's not like I'm opposed to supporting that in any way, shape, or form, but like, there's nothing that really connects me to the players in terms of the brand. They don't really do anything for like the English audience, to my understanding, or at least it's not like readily available. Like, over the last 6 years, it's not really presented itself in my life, so like, I have nothing to really latch onto with this team, and it doesn't speak to me in any way, shape, or form. I don't know what to say, but I get it. Again, these are all Korean teams that are mostly designed to attract a Korean audience, so it's like, I know it's not for me, but when deciding my team, I'm going to be a little bit more selfish, understandably. To show you proof that I'm not a players guy over anything, BNK Furex out. Vikla, a player that has played in the LCS, a player that I can at least relate to when looking at this roster. Clear is somebody that I've heard good things about. Kellen as well. BNK Furex also hosts the boot camps that we have for North American teams. 100 Thieves, Cloud9, Shopify Rebellion, Team Liquid. They all go over and use BNK Furex. So there is like that tie to North America that I could go off of, but it just, I couldn't tell you why this doesn't appeal to me. I like their logo though. The bunny is kind of cool. Now, when I said I was going to make this video, I said I was going to do a bunch of research into like all the various different teams, and I sat on it a little bit more and thought about it. I was like, I really shouldn't have to. No? Like that all should come to me. Like I want to know what I'm looking into. I want to be able to like vet the team that I like the most, but at the same time, I'm not going to go out of my way to like try and make myself a fan of somebody who like doesn't appeal to me or doesn't reach out to me in any way, shape, or form. Najin Red Force, I know nothing. Like there's been no attempt, at least to my mind, to capture an American audience. And while I know names like Lehens and Kingen, nothing. I got nothing for you. It just doesn't appeal to me. DRX is one squad through like their partnership with Red Bull back from like Worlds 2022 that like I did recognize, and it was something that was like on my list of like, maybe this org could do it. They also have Rich, who played for Dignitas for a bit, but I honestly didn't really care for Rich's playstyle. It felt very feast or famine, and also I was actively cheering against him at all times. I also recognize the name Teddy from T1 because he was the guy I think that was supposed to go in for Guma Yusi. It was like between Teddy and Guma for who would like take over like starting AD carry role for T1, and Teddy didn't get it, obviously. So at least there's names I recognize there, and I do like their logo. Like everything about DRX is like clean to me, but it's not speaking to me. It's not. Just gut feeling says it ain't there. Couldn't tell you why. It's just I don't know. The other 3 finalists that I have are above that, which means we have one more team to eliminate before we get to the finalist, and this one might upset some people, and it's fine. I'm not gonna be a bro. I see Degon. I see a bunch of other people being like, join the bro army or whatever their fandom is called. It's just like, I don't know. Closer is a cool name. Bull's an interesting name, but like, I don't know. I don't need to be a bro. I need a connection to the org in some way, shape, or form. And that's what my 3 finalists have. Yes, I completely forgot about D plus Kia. What else is there to say? So let's shift somewhere else real quick. This means that we are now down to 3. We have Genji, DNF, and T1. DNF has 2 players that we've grown close to as North Americans, with both Piosik and Berserker. Berserker being on Z9 for an extended period of time, now going back to get his chance in the LCK. Genji having their iconic player in Chovy, but more importantly, it's my conversation with Arnold that kind of cemented them in the final 3 for me. I have an understanding of their brand, what they're about, and more. I mean, same thing for T1 if I'm being honest with Joe Marsh. I'm lucky enough to be in the position where I do get to talk to some higher end people in the LCK and the LCK space, and the fact that both of these 2 got the chance to speak with me. Obviously, I get to learn more about them, their brand, what they stand for than most others, but obviously there's the connection to NA here. So the final thing I will say before I make my choice is that I tried to look at this in the same way that I look at college, and I wanted to address a problem that I personally had, and I think it's something that the gaming industry actually deals with a lot, or at least esports. I mentioned that I was a Florida fan when I was young, and many people, when they're like a fan of their favorite college, they want to go to that college, but I never pushed myself to do that. Why? I was scared to fail. I was also scared of big things. It's something that the gaming community has a lot, where I know a lot of people, when I announced I was going to do this video, were like, make sure you pick a small team because the bigger teams don't necessarily need any additional fandom. And while that's true, there's thousands of people that go to like the University of Texas, the University of Florida each and every year. I didn't do so because I was just scared that I would get rejected from it and that I wouldn't be able to find my way in a massive crowd. One thing that I want LoL esports fans to understand is that you can do that. It doesn't matter how big the numbers are, how established the names and brands are. You can become a part of a culture and find your own identity within it with ease. Just be true to yourself, be the unique person that you are, and you will find a way to flourish within any individual fandom. So I didn't want to hold myself back when it came to picking one of the 2 biggest brands in LoL esports. I don't want to shy away from the thing that happened to me before. Now, if you know me well enough, if you know this channel well enough, you might have been able to predict which one I was probably going to choose, because you probably know the thing that's most important to me. And that is growing a local fandom, something that both of these brands have in common, where T1 is trying to expand their PC cafes, their watch parties and events, Gen.G trying to do homestands as well. Like, both of these brands understand esports at a fundamental level that I personally agree with, that I would want to tie myself with going forward. But when it comes down to it, starting from this day forward, I will be supporting T1. Call it bandwagon all you want. I do not give a shit. Look, there's a lot of vitriol around T1 right now, especially from American fans as they deal with Dom and they deal with like the K-popification of it all. But my conversation with Joe Marsh solidified this for me because I'm able to relate to him in a way that I've only ever been able to relate to one other person in esports, and that was Scum. I respect his journey. I respect the decisions that he's made with T1 as a company, their direction going forward. And this isn't a choice about like picking Faker or having a favorite player. Like, honest to God, Faker could not be a part of this. T1 could not win as much as they will. And when Faker does retire, I know there are going to be a lot of people that end up like leaving the T1 fandom because like they're diehard Faker fans, as most people are in this esport, a fan of players over teams. But there's something about T1 that screams North America. And maybe that is like the connection to Comcast and like Joe being a PA guy. And just like there's this inherent like Northeast feel to it. And if you're not from the Northeast, I don't know how to explain that feeling other than just like diehard hustle mentality. Like you just will do anything and everything you can to get to the point where you need to be. And that's not saying that other cultures, other teams don't have that, but it's not executed the same way as a Northeastern person does, especially like Philly, New York area. You know it when you see it. And I see it with T1, I see it with Joe Marsh, and it's a brand that, honest to God, I believe in. So I don't care if I'm one of millions of people that are T1 fans. I will find my own identity within the fandom. I need to take this next year, most importantly, to learn a lot. I need to learn about the history, about the culture, about everything that was T1 leading up to this point before I really feel like I can speak truly on anything. That's my responsibility to the fandom. And I did view this the same way as like picking a massive college. I don't want to be scared to pick Florida again, just because I was, scared of being one of a number. It felt right. I knew it from the moment I got done talking to Joe that I was going to pick T1 as my LCK team. So I'm looking forward to the season of the LCK. I'm looking forward to what we have to come. It's going to be interesting to watch. It's going to be fun. I've already natively followed T1 more than most other teams just due to the storylines that surround them. But to follow as like a passionate fan now, kind of like a college alumni that, doesn't actually like go to the school, but still follows everything that they do. I don't know. It should be fun. I also need to get T1 merch. Fun fact, my brother-in-law was actually deployed over in Seoul, Korea for a year and a half. I think back in like 2018. I tried to have him get me a T1 jacket from Seoul, Korea, but he was not able to. He didn't quite understand like what I was asking for, what I was looking for, and like didn't understand the local culture enough to be able to get it. But this year, I'm committing to getting one piece of T1 merch that isn't, a Miami hat with T1 put over top of it. But nevertheless, thanks for watching. If you're a T1 fan, you will see some more T1 content on this channel. I'm not sure what all will until, again, I want to spend this year learning before I like really speak on and make it a part of content on here. But I might include bits and pieces of it in the pit and the rendezvous and weekly videos as we go on. Or if I find something interesting that I want to talk about and make a one-off video, I will. But that's it for me. Thanks. See you later.